What if everything you see, everything you feel, is not separate from you, but a reflection, a mirror of the consciousness you carry inside? You move through your days as though the world is fixed, as though reality is solid, immutable, predictable. But here's the truth. Consciousness is not passive. It does not merely observe, it participates, it creates. And today, you are being invited to notice this. You have always been here, yet you are only now awakening to the subtle currents that flow beneath the surface of ordinary life. You feel it in the quiet moments, when your thoughts drift, when your emotions rise like waves, when a coincidence, almost miraculous, nudges you awake. Those are not random. Those are the universe whispering, showing you that observation matters. Your very attention collapses possibility into form. Imagine the double slit experiment. A beam of particles behaves differently simply because it is observed. It bends, it shifts, it becomes what is seen. Now imagine that the particles are not small, inert specks, but the very essence of your life. The experiences you call reality are not fixed. They are flexible, responsive, alive. And you, your attention, your intention, your awareness, is the key. Consider two people who walk into the same crowded room. One feels anxious, threatened by the noise, overwhelmed by the energy. Another feels curiosity, a quiet fascination, noticing subtle gestures, catching hidden smiles. The room has not changed. The people have. And yet, the world they experience is profoundly different. You begin to see the same principle at work in your life. Perception is creation. What you bring to the world shapes what the world brings to you. Here's a secret many never realize. The universe has always been waiting for your attention. Unseen forces, infinite threads of possibility, ripple around you, waiting for the collapse of their potential into reality. And that collapse happens because you notice, because you feel, because you allow yourself to participate fully, not passively. So you begin, not with action, not with effort, not with a plan, but with awareness. You notice the small synchronize, the subtle nudges. You notice the patterns that repeat in your life. You notice the weight of certain thoughts, the pull of certain desires. And as you notice, something shifts, something softens. You start to understand that the reality you inhabit is not a punishment, not a test, not a script written without your consent. It is a mirror, reflecting the state of your inner world back to you. This is the invitation to see, to feel, to witness, to awaken, to realize that your consciousness is not separate from the universe. It is the universe observing itself through your eyes. And in this knowing, the first stirrings of transformation begin. You were always meant to see this, and now you do. Every thought you hold is a ripple across the infinite ocean of reality. Each idea, each longing, each fear vibrates outward, touching unseen corners of the universe, and the universe in turn responds. Here's the truth. Nothing exists separate from your observation. Your attention is the brushstroke painting the canvas of your life. Your focus is the lens collapsing possibility into form. Imagine the double slit experiment. When particles are observed, their wave-like potential becomes a pinpoint of reality. They change, not because the universe is arbitrary, but because consciousness itself is participatory. Now imagine that each thought you think, each emotion you feel, is a beam of light in this quantum experiment. The world is not only around you, it is the reflection of your inner state. Consider two people sitting in traffic, late for a meeting. One reacts with irritation, imagining worst-case scenarios, feeling the pulse of frustration in their chest. Their perception sharpens obstacles, magnifies delay, and compounds stress. The other notices the same traffic, the same horns, the same red lights. But instead of resisting, they observe, breathe, and notice the rhythm of the road. The frustration dissolves. Clarity emerges. The world itself has not changed, but each person's reality has shifted, shaped by the frequency of their attention. Your mind is a mirror. The patterns you carry, often invisible to you, reflect outward. Every belief about yourself, every assumption about others, echoes across the quantum field. When you choose to look deeply, to notice the subtle connections between your internal state and your external world, you begin to see that life is not a series of accidents or random events. It is a dance between your inner frequency and the infinite possibilities that surround you. Here's where most people stumble. They treat reality as rigid, unyielding, a force to resist or endure. But when you understand the mirror, when you see the feedback between thought, emotion, and experience, a shift occurs. You start to notice the invisible threads linking desire to manifestation, fear to limitation, focus to creation. You recognize that your mind is not a prisoner of circumstance, but a creator of circumstance. And then, in a quiet moment, you feel it, the soft, subtle pulse of possibility opening before you. You realize that the mirror is not a reflection of punishment or lack. It is a reflection of alignment. When your focus is intentional, your energy coherent, your emotions resonant, the universe responds with grace, precision, and unexpected beauty. The ripples you send out return magnified, shaping your reality with the elegance of cosmic symmetry. You are learning to watch the mirror. You are learning to shape it. And with each awareness, each choice, each moment of deliberate observation, you step closer to the life that has always been possible, hidden only by the unobserved patterns of your mind. The mirror is waiting, and now you are ready to see yourself in its infinite reflection. Beneath the surface of conscious thought, beneath the decisions you think you make freely, there exists a current, a subtle, unyielding force that steers your life. This is the subconscious mind, your invisible compass, your unseen navigator. It holds memories, emotions, and beliefs that have long been buried, yet they shape every choice, every reaction, every moment of your day. And here's the paradox. You are both bound by it and capable of rewriting it. Imagine two people receiving the same critique at work. One feels crushed, reliving childhood moments of inadequacy, allowing fear to dictate their response. The other feels challenged, notices the growth opportunity, and moves forward with curiosity. The words are identical. The context is identical, but the subconscious patterns, the unseen scripts running beneath awareness, determine which path each person follows. Your mind works like a quantum field. The patterns, the emotional charges, the deeply held beliefs act as magnets, attracting experiences that align with their frequency. Joe Dispenza often speaks of this. The subconscious is a habitual operator. It repeats what is familiar, even if it is unwanted, until it is consciously observed, disrupted, and transformed. Each emotion you feel, each memory you carry, has a frequency that echoes outward, shaping the probability of what appears in your reality. And yet, you are not powerless. Awareness itself is a gentle, yet potent tool. When you notice the patterns of fear, the scripts of limitation, the recurring emotional loops, you begin to see the invisible lines tracing the shape of your life. You begin to understand that many experiences you call fate or circumstance were merely the subconscious drawing from its familiar map. Here's a practical truth. The mind resists change, not because it is against you, but because it operates on repetition. But repetition can be rewritten. You can observe a recurring reaction, a wave of jealousy, anger, or doubt, and instead of surrendering to it, you place a conscious thought, a deliberate breath, a new belief into the field. Slowly, the subconscious begins to shift. Slowly, your internal compass recalibrates. The beauty of this realization is profound. The unseen currents guiding your life can be consciously directed. You are not merely drifting, you are learning to steer. You are beginning to recognize that the patterns you inherited, the emotions you replayed, the fears you carried, were not punishments, they were clues. Clues pointing to the parts of yourself that needed attention, care, and transformation. As awareness deepens, you feel the first stirrings of alignment. You notice the freedom in choosing your response. You notice the clarity in observing patterns without judgment. And you understand finally that the compass of your subconscious is not a force against you. It is a guide, waiting for your conscious participation. You are learning to navigate. You are learning to steer. And in this navigation, the life you create begins to reflect not your history, but your highest potential. Your body, your thoughts, the universe itself, all are pulses of energy, resonating in patterns both seen and unseen. What if the moments of frustration, of joy, of longing are not just feelings but frequencies, sending ripples into the fabric of reality? Here's the truth. Your emotions are not incidental. They are instruments. They are signals. They are the language through which you communicate with the world and through which the world responds to you. Imagine two people receiving the same unexpected news. One spirals into fear, worry tightening around the chest, heartbeats quickening. Their frequency pulses with tension, drawing experiences that echo that resonance, resistance, delay, and struggle. The other breathes, feels the initial surge, but then aligns attention to curiosity and gratitude. Their frequency softens, expands, harmonizes with the potential of opportunity. The events are identical, but the world responds differently. Frequency shapes reality. Consider the science beneath it. Neurons firing in synchrony, heart rhythms shifting with emotion, energy fields radiating beyond the body. Bob Proctor often says that your inner state magnetizes your outer experience. Quantum theory mirrors this truth. The observer effect, the entanglement of particles, the ripple of one action across space and time. Your energy, your vibration, interacts with the universe as a note interacts with the resonance of a chamber. When you are dissonant, the world reflects tension. When you are aligned, the world flows. Your thoughts carry frequencies too. A recurring worry, a limiting belief, a self-criticism. It is a note held long enough to echo outward. And yet, beauty lies in your power to retune. When you consciously elevate your thoughts, when you shift focus to compassion, possibility, or wonder, you change the resonance. You do not merely hope for transformation, you emit it. You do not simply wish for love, success, or peace. You vibrate in harmony with its arrival. Here's an everyday reflection. Think of the subtle difference between two people walking into a room. One carries tension like a low hum. The other carries openness like a gentle chord. Which environment feels alive, receptive, alive with potential? Which one reflects your inner vibration back at you? The principle is universal. Your internal state is the tuning fork. Your life is the music that emerges. As awareness deepens, you begin to sense the infinite possibilities hidden within your frequency. You notice the subtle harmonies and dissonances of your day, the invisible connections between your emotional state and the events that appear. And in this noticing, a shift occurs. You stop trying to force reality and start learning to tune your own vibration. You begin to understand that creation is not a struggle, it is a resonance. You are learning to speak the language of the universe. You are learning that every thought, every feeling, every breath is a frequency. And as you align, consciously, intentionally, you step into the role you were always meant to play, a creator in harmony with the infinite, shaping reality not through force, but through resonance. In a world that constantly demands your attention, your energy, your reaction, what if the most powerful action you could take is nothing at all? Here's the truth. Amid the chaos of thought, emotion, and sensation, stillness is your portal. It is the space where consciousness rests, the pause where the quantum field waits for your participation. In the silence between impulses, infinite possibilities emerge and creation takes its purest form. Imagine two people at the edge of a decision. One reacts immediately, guided by impulse, fear, or habit. Their actions are scattered, fragmented, and the results are uncertain. The other pauses, breathes, and allows a quiet space to form. In that stillness, the mind shifts, the heart aligns, and clarity emerges. The universe responds not to frantic effort, but to deliberate presence. The same circumstances, the same choices, produce entirely different outcomes. Neuroscience shows what your body already knows intuitively. In stillness, the nervous system rebalances. Heart rate slows, brain waves shift, and coherence emerges. Between mind, body, and emotion. Quantum science mirrors this truth. The observer effect occurs not in the noise of distraction, but in the focused, attentive awareness of the particle collapsing from possibility into reality. Your most profound creations emerge in the quiet, when attention meets intention without resistance. Consider the subtle moments of life you have overlooked. The pause between conversations. The space between your inhale and exhale. The silence that comes just before sleep. These are not empty moments. They are fertile ground, a field of potential awaiting your conscious awareness. Every thought, every emotion, every choice that arises from this space carries more coherence, more resonance, more alignment with the reality you wish to manifest. Here's a reflection. Two friends sit in a park, each watching the same sunset. One scrolls on their phone, distracted by what is absent or lacking. The other simply breathes, absorbs the light, feels its warmth, and allows awe to wash over them. The deep sun has not changed, the scene is identical. Yet the one who allows stillness experiences a transformation, a shift in perspective, a resonance with something larger than themselves. This is the power you are learning to access. In stillness, you discover that creation is not a struggle. It does not demand force, effort, or control. It asks only for your presence, your awareness, your willingness to be receptive. Here, conscious awareness meets quantum possibility. Here, the subtle energy of thought, emotion, and intention converges, and life begins to unfold in ways you could not have imagined. You are learning to pause. You are learning to inhabit the spaces between thought, between sensation, between expectation. And in this sacred silence, the world responds. The possibilities expand, the mirror of reality shifts, and you step closer to the life that has always awaited your conscious attention. What if the world you see is not shaped by facts, but by the lens through which you interpret them? Here's the truth. Your beliefs are not passive opinions. They are the operating system of your reality, the blueprint by which experience organizes itself. Every expectation, every conviction, every narrative you hold reverberates through your consciousness, bending probability, guiding outcomes, shaping the form your life takes. Consider two students learning the same material. One believes they are incapable of understanding complex ideas. Their attention narrows, neural pathways resist, and confusion dominates. The other approaches with curiosity, trusting their ability to learn. Their neurons fire differently, forming connections, creating pathways that support understanding. The same information, the same classroom. But the internal belief shifts everything. What your mind accepts as truth becomes your lived experience. Neuroscience reveals that your brain is plastic, continually rewiring itself around the expectations you feed it. Deeply held beliefs act like gravity, attracting patterns of thought, emotion, and behavior that reinforce them. And yet, the same neural pathways that once limited you can be reshaped. Joe Dispenza teaches that conscious attention, directed with intention, can create new neural connections, altering the subconscious patterns that have dictated your life for decades. You are not stuck. You are malleable. Your beliefs echo silently through every moment of your life. They whisper in choices you make unconsciously, in reactions you cannot fully explain, in desires you resist or pursue without clarity. And the paradox is simple. The very structures that once constrained you can now guide you toward liberation. The mind does not discriminate between limiting and empowering beliefs. It only amplifies what you accept as true. Here's a reflection. Two co-workers receive feedback on a shared project. One believes deep in their bones that they are destined to fail. The other believes they are capable of growth and success. The feedback is identical. The experience is identical. But the outcomes diverge, not because of circumstance, but because belief is the lens through which reality collapses into form. And so, you are invited to look within. To notice the stories you tell yourself, the convictions you inherited, the truths you assumed without question. And in this noticing, transformation begins. You can confront limitation not with force, but with awareness. You can gently shift, slowly realign, and allow new possibilities to resonate. Each belief released or recalibrated changes the frequency of your mind, opening doors to experiences that were once impossible. Your beliefs are not punishment, they are signals, maps, and invitations. And as you learn to listen, to adjust, to consciously choose what you accept as true, the mirror of reality begins to reflect a higher potential. You are learning to rewrite the echo. You are learning to sculpt the lens through which the universe reveals itself. And in this, you reclaim your creative power. What if creation is not about pushing harder, but about harmonizing? Here's the truth. Thought, emotion, and action are instruments in a cosmic orchestra. When they converge, resonate, and flow together, your inner world and outer reality dance in synchrony. Misalignment fractures energy, delays manifestation, and creates tension. Alignment, however, opens channels, amplifies resonance, and allows possibility to collapse into form effortlessly. Consider two people approaching a challenge. One acts without clarity, driven by scattered thoughts and impulsive emotion. Their actions are disjointed, the results are unpredictable, the effort exhausting. The other pauses, feels the intention behind the action, tunes into emotional resonance, and then moves. Their steps are guided by coherence, their energy focused. The outcome is not forced. It emerges, precise, fluid, and aligned. The universe responds not to struggle, but to harmony. Quantum science mirrors this principle. The observer effect shows that particles collapse into reality when observed with intention. Your thoughts act as the observation, your emotions set the frequency, your inspired action provides the trajectory. When these three converge, creation accelerates. The universe becomes a partner, not a puzzle, responding with elegance to the signal you emit. Visualize it. A river flowing toward the ocean. When obstacles create turbulence, energy is lost, directions scattered. When the current aligns with the natural channel, water moves with grace, speed, and power. So it is with your inner world. Thoughts aligned with purpose, emotions in harmony with desire, actions guided by intuition. These are the currents of creation. Resistance falls away, and the path opens. Even daily life reflects this principle. Two colleagues approach a project. One reacts from obligation, tension knotting the mind and heart. The other acts from inspired intention, fully present, emotionally engaged, mentally clear. The difference is palpable. Energy flows to the aligned individual, opportunities unfold, solutions appear as if guided by an unseen hand. Alignment transforms effort into orchestration, struggle into symphony. Here's the invitation. Notice your internal resonance before acting. Feel the emotional tone of your intention. Observe whether your thoughts are focused or scattered. Align. Action with both. When this triad is coherent, the world mirrors back with precision. Life ceases to be a battle and becomes a reflection of your internal harmony. You are learning to orchestrate. You are learning to align mind, heart, and action. And as this alignment deepens, your creations take shape with clarity and ease. The universe responds not to force, but to resonance. And in this sacred flow, you step fully into your role as a conscious creator, moving with the rhythm of reality itself. What if growth does not follow a straight line, and reality is never as simple as it appears? Here's the truth. The universe thrives in paradox. Certainty and uncertainty, control and surrender, creation and letting go. These contradictions are not obstacles, but gateways. They invite you to a deeper awareness, showing that the observer and the observed are inseparable, entwined in a cosmic dance where every step contains both challenge and revelation. Consider two people facing the same loss. One clings to control, seeking answers, resisting the pain. Their struggle creates tension, prolonging confusion. The other allows grief, surrendering to what is, while holding the faith that clarity will emerge. In paradox, acceptance and action coexist. The world has not changed, the loss remains, but the inner landscape shifts dramatically. One experiences restriction, the other experiences expansion. Quantum science mirrors this principle. Particles exist in states of probability until observed. They are waves and points simultaneously, possibilities and realities intertwined. Just as observation collapses possibility into form, your conscious attention navigates the dualities of life. Embrace uncertainty and yet act with intention. Release control and yet hold clarity of vision. The tension between opposites is where creation begins. Your mind resists paradox because it seeks simple explanations. Yet paradox is the language of consciousness. Your emotions, your decisions, your identity exist in overlapping layers. Certainty in doubt, fear in courage, limitation in potential. Joe Dispenza reminds us that transformation is rarely linear. It is cyclical, layered, fractal. You may take one step forward and two steps back and still move toward profound expansion. Here's a reflection. Two colleagues approach the same complex problem. One demands absolute clarity before acting. The other acts intuitively, guided by partial understanding. Both engage differently, yet the problem begins to resolve more fully when both clarity and intuition coexist. The paradox, certainty paired with uncertainty, creates a space where solutions, insight, and growth flourish. And so you are invited to dance, to inhabit contradictions without needing resolution, to feel the tension between surrender and control, knowing that both are necessary, both are true. In this dance, the boundaries of perception dissolve. You begin to recognize that opposing forces are not enemies, they are collaborators, harmonizing to expand your awareness, deepen your experience, and accelerate manifestation. You are learning to move with paradox. You are learning to hold opposites, to allow contradictions, to see the unity within duality. And in this acceptance, your consciousness expands. The mirror of reality becomes fluid, responsive, and infinite. You step fully into the dance, not resisting, not forcing, but flowing with the rhythm of existence itself. What if transformation is not a goal to be reached, but a river you are invited to swim in? Here's the truth. Every thought, every emotion, every experience is an ingredient in the alchemy of your being. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is accidental. Even the challenges, the heartbreaks, the doubts are catalysts, dissolving old forms and revealing the gold hidden within. You are not merely changing. You are unfolding into your highest resonance, moment by moment. Consider two artists learning their craft. One chases perfection, frustrated by mistakes, fearful of imperfection. The other embraces the process, seeing every stroke, every misstep, as part of the evolving masterpiece. The art emerges naturally, not because it is forced, but because awareness meets action, curiosity meets experience, and the energy of creation flows unhindered. Your life, like the canvas, responds to the alchemy of attention and intention. Quantum science mirrors this inner process. The observer effect shows that the act of perceiving collapses infinite possibilities into reality. Your consciousness is not separate from what it observes. It participates in the unfolding. Joe Dispenza and Amit Goswami remind us that thought, feeling, and awareness shape not only perception, but the very structure of what appears in the world. You are a creator, a participant, a conscious alchemist in the laboratory of life. Even daily moments carry this transformative power. Two parents soothe crying children in the same house. One responds from tension and impatience, amplifying chaos. The other responds from presence and curiosity, allowing each emotion to be felt and transformed. The environment doesn't change, yet the frequency shifts. The world reflects back your internal state, moment by moment. Every interaction, every choice, every breath is an opportunity to transmute the ordinary into the extraordinary. Here is the invitation. See yourself as ongoing alchemy. Observe the patterns you have carried, the beliefs you have embraced, the emotional currents that have guided your life. Gently, without judgment, release what no longer serves. Invite coherence, alignment, and resonance, and in doing so, step fully into conscious creation, knowing that the universe responds to your evolving frequency. Transformation is not a single event. It is a continuous unfolding, a river that flows through you, reshaping who you are in every moment. You are learning to participate fully, to co-create, to feel the pulse of your own becoming. Every thought you cultivate, every emotion you embrace, every action you take is part of this magnificent alchemy. You are the artist, the observer, the creator, and the creation. And as you embrace this truth, the mirror of reality reflects not just what is, but what is possible. You are becoming more than you ever imagined, and the world responds with extraordinary depth, beauty, and resonance.